Hey everyone, welcome back and thanks for joining us. So this is the second episode of 30 minutes of GitHub. And before I move ahead, today's agenda is to talk about SSH and then how you can control your workflow from the from the VS Code. But before I move ahead, let me just let you tell you about this conference, which is GitHub Satellite India, which is happening on March 26 and 27. So it's from morning 9:30, and there are a lot of great talks which is happening, and I'll be also available there. I'll be talking about actually maintaining large open source projects. So this is we have our co-speakers Siddharth Chatterjee and Shikha Mishra, and it's more of a discussion about around how to maintain large open source projects, and there are other great talks which we have. So do join us on March 26 and 27. In case you don't want to forget about it, just add it to calendar and see you there. So let me. Hmm. So last week, when we did our first episode, there was a question: what is SSH? And as we already ended up doing the 30 minutes episode, so I thought of like doing it today. So whenever you want to clone some repository, right? What we do, we use our username and password. That's what we generally do. So we use login ID and password to connect to our GitHub account, Bitbucket, or whichever repository you are using, or in case it is Azure DevOps. Is that safe? I mean, I can just go to any machine, log in with those credential, username and password, and then I can start pushing my code. And sometimes it happens that your session gets disconnected, and then you have to actually log in again by entering those credentials. So you have to use again your username and password, and then you will be able to push the changes. Hey Sriram, thanks for joining. So how does SSH helps here? So let me just change my theme here. Well, I'll just use the night owl light theme. Yep. And let's increase the font size. So what happens in SSH is you generate a public and private key. So you actually enter your uh, public key on the repository, whichever you are using, in case you are using GitHub or you are using Bitbucket. So you enter that key, but that particular key on your repository. So there is a setting. So let me just tell you first how you can actually generate SSH key, but let me show you in case you already have it. So you can run this command ls space -al, and then you can use // Okay. So Sriram, can you confirm if you are able to hear me or anyone? I hope so, but just to. So this command will actually list all the SSH keys which is generated. So you can see I already have SSH folder available on my machine, and this is the public and private key. Hey Pulkit, thanks for joining. So ID underscore RSA underscore pub, and then ID underscore RSA. So let me just open it. I am not going to show you the entire key, but yeah. So let me show you where this file exists on your machine. So here you have, okay. So inside your users folder, wherever you are logged in, you will be able to find .ssh folder. And this is where your public and private key exists. I can just open it with VS Code. And this is my public key, which I have to actually go ahead and provide on the GitHub. So where you can actually add this key. So let me just go back to the VS Code. Here, we'll just go back to github.com. And here in my settings, hmm, repository, and let's go to this particular repository and go to settings. So security. I think I'm at the wrong place, but action. Sorry, I was looking at this. So you will find a tab called SSH and GPG keys. So right now I have not added any SSH key for my account right now. I actually do use it, but for the another private repositories which I have on Bitbucket. So I can just enter a new SSH key here, and then I can just say, okay, this is my SSH key. So let's see, and then this is the ID. So it says, okay, this key which you are trying to enter is something which starts with SSH underscore RSA underscore ED 2525519, which is the preferred way now. So I was just referring to the docs from where you can generate SSH keys, and they say you have to use ED 25519. I'll share the link with you as well. Let me just share that. I already have it in. This is the doc, GitHub doc, which you can use. So let me just enter this key and let's see if it works. Okay, so it says, okay, it is added, and uh, I can actually go ahead and remove it whenever I want to, and it is never used because I always use HTTPS to actually connect to my repositories, whichever I want to clone. So this is the how you can actually add SSH key. But what's the advantage, right? So the other advantage is actually SSH keys are generated on your machine. So it has also what you can say public and private key, which can authenticate the machine on from which you are trying to push the code. So let's say someone got your username and password and got access to your repositories, and in case you are using SSH, he won't. I mean, the person, he or she, won't be able to actually use or push or make any changes. Preferred way is, of course, you should have two-factor authentication, which I said last time. But in case you are not using this two-factor authentication, SSH is actually way to go. And where is that information, right? So where is that machine information which is available? So I'll just open the repository, this is key again, and let's go to the end. So you can see this. This is actually the name of my machine. This is to authenticate. Okay, this is from this particular machine. I'll be pushing all the changes. So this is my public key, and similarly, I also have my private key available on the same folder, which is also you can open with code and see it. So this is the entire private key which I have. Okay, so this is about SSH. In case you have any questions, you can still go ahead and ask. Generally, in case you join any, let's say your organization, which is using which is hosting your project on GitHub or using Bitbucket, they generally go with SSH just to avoid any invalid users actually accessing your repositories. So it's a preferred way. Now, so next thing what we are going to do is we are going to see how you can actually control your workflow, your GitHub workflow from VSCode. So this is the same repository which we had last time, 30 days of GitHub. So I'll just create a new branch and I will go ahead and say, okay, this is day 2. And this is the new branch. Now I have just moved on to the new branch. And let's add a day 2 folder, and I'll just add agenda dot read or agenda dot empty, and then I'll say, okay, this is so discuss on such. So of course, now you know how you can actually get the key which already exists, but how to generate it. So I'll just open the same doc which we had, so which just shared with you in the chat. You can go to this doc and it will tell you how to generate the new SSH key as well. So you have to go ahead and generate this one. So you have to just run this command. I'll go to git bash, and I can just enter my username, sorry, my email. So I'll say, okay, this is my email. So I'll just enter, and it will say, okay, enter the which in which file you want to save the key. So it says, okay, by default it will be ID underscore ed 25519. As I said, now it generates the code in this file, and I will say, okay, enter passphrase. So I'm not using any password right now, and now my new key is generated. So I can just go ahead and verify if my new key is available. It says yes, it is. There are two. This is public and this is private key, which is generated now. I can go to the same folder again, the SSH folder, which .ssh folder, which exists. And then I can open, okay, so let's open with Visual Studio Code. And this is my new key generated with the new algorithm, which now GitHub uses to generate all the keys. I can use, so it says you can still use the older one, which was RSA generated key. It's still valid, but I think it will be discontinued as, yep. So DSA keys are no longer supported. So, but your existing keys will still work absolutely fine, no problem. That's only for new keys which will be generated. So there won't be any new SSH keys with DSA algorithm which will be generated, which is your RSA keys, right? So which has underscore RSA in its name. Now you also know how to create the keys. Let's go back to the repository. So just close this. This. So what I did is I created a new file, and now I want to actually push all these changes on GitHub, and I don't want to actually use commands. Over the years, I have become more comfortable using commands, but when I started using GitHub more frequently, I was actually more comfortable doing it from VS Code because, of course, remembering all the commands are uh, not possible, right? I mean, human minds cannot understand or cannot save all the data which is available. It's only once you start using them frequently, which happened like around 2019 when I started contributing to Angular and few open source projects where I had to actually move and use the Git bash, or you can see the command from more, because of like there are a lot of change, lot of code, sorry, lot of commands, git rebase, git pull. So you have to run all those commands from. So I became more comfortable using that. But here I can just go ahead and say, okay, so I'm writing right now inside the VS Code. I can just go ahead and say state changes. So it's like you do git add. So if you remember last time we did git add and dot. So right now the same thing which we did from the Visual Studio Code, and then I can just enter a message. So I'll say, okay, feature add agenda for day 2. And then you can just click on this check mark, which is similar to git commit. So you can see even on hover, you can see it says commit. So now I have committed my changes. Now what next? So now I have to push all the changes. So what I can do is you can just go ahead and say push all the commit, all the GitHub commands which you need is actually available inside your VS Code. In case you don't see this, in case you go to your this Git section and you don't see anything, it actually shows you something called initialize a new initialize GitHub or initialize Git something. I'm not sure because I have not seen that from so many days, but it will tell you, okay, your actually code is not inside any repository or not tracked. So you may have to initialize a new GitHub repository and then push it. So right now it's available. How you can figure that out? So generally, in case you want to remove it, I'll just show you one thing, so let's say you already have this code available inside some or tracked on some GitHub repository on remote, right? And you want to remove that. So probably you forked a new code and now you want to actually take that code, push it on a new repository, not the forked version. You want to create your own. So what you can do is you can go to File Explorer, and here you will be able to find. So right now the file is not visible. So I'll just go to properties and sorry, settings. You can show hide all the show hidden files. So you can go to show hidden files and then you can say, okay, where is that? Side load, change, show hidden system files, show settings. Here, so show hidden files and folders. I can go to the folder now and you will be able to see a new folder or Git. So this is how actually it is able to track, right? So your Git is able to track that, okay, this particular folder is actually mapped to this particular repository. If I remove it, it's like a fresh repository, fresh code, which is not mapped to any repository. If I press enter, you will find a lot of files which exist here. So in case you want to remove the tracking and you want to push the code on a new repository, you can actually go ahead and just remove this .git folder and it is not tracked anymore and you can just push it wherever you want to. So you can create a new repository, push the code, and that's absolutely fine. Okay, coming back to the push part. So now I can just go ahead and say, okay, go ahead and push to, and then this is the repository. It says, okay, this is your origin, and I can just say, okay, push it. Okay, so my changes are pushed on the repository. So let's go back and see if it exists. I can go to the file. First, I will change it, change it, sorry, light theme. So it's visible. Now let's go back to the repository and we will be able to see, okay, there is a new commit which is pushed or new changes which is pushed like 23 seconds ago. And it says, okay, this is the recent thing which we pushed. And then you can just create a PR, create a pull request. And that's it. So I don't have to go to git bash or command prompt to do commit or even push my changes. So you can just do it from the VS Code. What else? So it offers in case. So let's say I'll just merge this branch and I want to pull or take the latest. So merge pull request, confirm merge, and this is merged to my main branch. And my main branch now contains extra code. So I can go to my main branch. Remember, you don't have to do git checkout. Generally, this is what we do, right? So I can just quickly from here, which is this option is below, down, left, at the left bottom of your screen or VS Code. So you can just click on this and you can also create a new branch. You can also create or push, sorry, select the branch or do the checkout basically for to any branch. And I can just go to this again. So I can, now I want to take the latest. So generally we do git pull, but I can just do it from here. So I can say, okay, this is pull, git pull, and you will see the latest changes. So you can see day2 folder is available and the files which you pushed along with it, right? So it's available within your main branch. What else? So what we did, we actually, without using git bash, we did git pull, we did git push, we did git commit, we did git add as well. No, you don't have to remember all those commands. You just need to remember what those actions are. So let's go back and let me show you one more thing. Here, so while when you work in real-time project, right? So there are times you have to shuffle between multiple branches. And what in case I am in between making some changes, but I just received an update. Okay, this is a new task which we have to do, and it's of more priority. But your changes are still not completed, and you don't want to commit those changes probably. What we can do? So this is where you would generally use something called Git stash. And is there any other way of using Git stash from VS Code? Yes, there is. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'll create a new branch, and I'll say this is Git stash demo. And I'll just make some changes here. So I'll say, okay, this is VS Code. Yes, amazing. It is right. And but I don't want to actually now merge these changes, but I don't want to even delete these changes because I'm going to need it later on once I move back to this task. So what I can do is rather than actually committing or doing anything else, let's say, I mean, this is the same branch where you have to make new changes because that's of more priority. So I'll just go ahead and say, okay, this is, you can just go to stash and then you can say, okay, stash, there are multiple options. You have stash, stash, include untracked file. So I will, this files are not untracked, right? Sorry, if I create a new file, right? So that file won't be tracked. So let me just add a new file. This is apple.md. Now this is the new file. So you can see here, it says sample.md. Okay, and it's modified and it's untracked. So you can also see the flag. It actually tells you something. So m is actually modified and u is untracked. So what in case I want to include in my stash only the tracked files. So I can say go ahead and stash and I'll say need later. You can see this file is actually not part of my stash right now. So what I can do is to include both files, I can go to stash and say, okay, I want to include untracked changes as well. So make sure whenever you're stashing something, and in case you added a new file, use stash with included so untracked files. So this is need later untracked. Okay, so we created a stash. We pushed some changes in stash, and we may need it later. So what I can do is now a new task has arrived, and I moved to main, and I will say, okay, I'll create a new branch now. I'll say, okay, this is uh, stash commit changes. So I'll call it a stash commit changes. Now I need all the files or all the changes which I had stashed. So what I can do is I can just go to stash and I can say apply latest stash or apply stash. So if I do apply latest, the last change, which was actually sample.md, will be applied. But I can also go ahead and do apply stash where I can choose which stash or which of the commit which I move to stash I need right now. So here I have both the changes which I moved to stash. Remember, I don't have to go to make these the same branch where we made same changes, right? Because there is nothing inside that branch. There is no commit. It's only few files which we moved on to stash, and we need it later on. And I can apply these changes on any new branch. So it's like you have some uncommitted changes which is available, and you can apply those changes whenever you want to. So I can say, okay, this is need later. So I want this one as well as I want that, okay, plus dash. So untracked. So I need both. And I can just go ahead and say, okay, I want to commit it. So either I can discard or let's stage. And this is need later changes. And I can just say commit. And then I can just go ahead and push, right? So this is what you can do from here. Apart from that, I think, yeah, we still have a few minutes. So you can also do checkout from here. So you want to do checkout to any deposit, any branch which we have, which is available. You can go ahead and do it from here. But in case you want to move to any branch, you can just do it from here. There are a few more. This let's talk a little bit about tags. So in case you are a open source, you own some open source project, right? So what we generally do is a new version is released with a new tag. And let me show you where those tags are available. So I'll just go back to my repository and I'll just say, okay, this is my profile. Oh, sorry. So I can go to my organization and see there are a few open source projects which is available. And if I go to one of them here, you will be able to see something called tags. So basically, whenever we release a new change, we actually release it with a tag. So 3.2.0 is the latest tag which is available. It's also possible you don't have to move out of the VS Code. You can just create a tag from here. So I'll go to, let's say, main, and I'll go to say create tag, and I will say, okay, this is v1.0, or let's say 0.1. This is the new tag which I have created. And it says, okay, please provide a message. So this is initial release. And once this tag is created, I can just go ahead and say, okay, tag, I have to get push it from here. So I can just do it uh, push. I do have access to master, so sorry, main branch. So I can do a push. In case you don't have access, you won't be able to. And never do it. It's not a good practice. I can go to my repository and okay, so here the tags should be available here. Right now it's not available because I have to do get tags, create tag, delete tag. Okay, get push, and the tag name was v1.0. Sorry, it's 0.1, I think 0.0 con. Okay, so let's see the tag which I created. Tag, delete tag, it's v0.1. Okay, so somehow push. Okay, so probably we can see the tag one in next episode probably, because it's should be available here, but somehow it is not. So I'll say this is tags. Commit changes, and okay, so let's delete this tag right now, and we can actually do it in next episode where we can talk about how you can create a new tag and push it on your repository. So the advantage of using tags is it's easy to identify what are the changes included in the latest release. So if I go back to one of the repository which I own here, so you can see, okay, tag. So there is 3.2.0, and I can see, okay, this is 3.2.0, and here, right? So you can see what was the source code at this particular time, which is really important in case you have some breaking changes, and your users needs to be aware what changed, right? So they can download the code, or you can create a release note as well. So you can create a release note telling, okay, this is what is included as part of this particular change, and you can probably your users can actually get benefit from this. So this is it for today. We actually learn about how you can uh, do or how you can use SSH keys, and we also learn about some workflows which you can handle from VS Code itself, and tags, a little bit about tags, and we'll do more on the next episode, which will be on 25th. Let me just make sure it's, yep, it will be on 25th, 3 p.m. IST, and looking forward to actually have you. So thanks for joining. And in case you have any questions, feel free to connect whenever you want to. And just to let you know, I also do this 20 minutes of one-on-one mentorship. In case you want to sign up for it, you can go to my Twitter handle. I'll share the link for the Calendly, where you can actually go ahead and schedule the call whenever you want to. And it's every Thursday, 9:30 p.m. IST. So in case you are interested, you have some question, it's free. So in case you are interested, you can also opt in for that. So see you next week, and sorry, not next week, 25th. and as well as GitHub Satellite, which is happening on 26th and 27th, which is Saturday and Sunday. So looking forward to have you there as well. Thank you for joining, and bye bye.